Welcome to Changing Suits. We're your hosts, Bal
and Taj, discussing the latest news, views, and general life for us Western Asians.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, changing_suits, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hi, welcome to Changing Suits. My name's Bal.
And my name's Taj.
Today we're going to be discussing love.
You mean love?
I mean love. Yes. Now, many of you listeners and us have noticed that it may well be a certain day next week. It is Valentine's Day, where we tell the person we love or merely like that we have some kind of feelings for them. If you want to be doing that on Valentine's Day. So we thought we'd start this podcast with just our experience of love, marriage, liking, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to kick off, as we always do, with Taj's experience of love. And when she realised that she loved her husband, if it has occurred at all.
That's nice. Well, I'm not going to admit that it hasn't, isn't it? It's going to be put out there. So I would say when the penny kind of dropped, would you say?
Yes.
I mean, that's a really difficult question, because was there a particular point that it happened?
Well, people...
Now, thinking back...
I was going to say, because people do say, oh, this is, love at first sight, which I don't believe in anyway. But, I knew that moment when, the Bollywood moment, there we are. Let's bring up your Bollywood.
Well, I knew there was something. I can say the cheesy thing. I knew that there was something as soon as I spoke to him the first time on the phone.
Okay, so the first conversation. But what was it about that conversation?
The fact that he could make me laugh, I think that was enough. The rest was all history. I mean, I remember when he first came round. I'm looking back at it, I don't know why now. So he came around in this old broken Volvo. Now, for any other person, that would have been like, oh my God.
But it's a bit of a turn on for you, the Volvo, apparently.
Well, yeah, and then because I hadn't heard of Swindon, who's like, oh, the toilets in, I don't know why I believe this, but the toilets in the bottom of the garden, that didn't deter me either. I don't know what I was thinking at that point.
Love is blind, obviously.
Yeah, there was something going on. What about you, would you say?
I don't know, I'm not there.
That's not nice.
No, I think when you're talking to someone, especially in this, on the Asian side of it, it is, when you go into situations where you're starting to talk to people, because obviously I didn't date anyone. I didn't
court.
I didn't court anyone apart from thinking, okay, this is going to be for marriage. And I think that adds extra pressure to the whole situation. Whereas people that don't have that pressure obviously can enjoy that time and build that relationship and, play the field, as it were. Right? But so I think initially it is a case of you need to have that click with the person. You need to make sure you're on the right...
Well, that's the thing. What I always used to, and I used to say it as well, what is that click? What is that? What is it? The spark we used to use a lot when we were going through the whole dating game.
Well, I think it's that whole thing of, you are on the same page.
Mm.
And I think that really helps. So you've got that chemistry, you've got that physical attraction, which you need, which I'd actually...
let's get physical.
Well, no, because on the Asian side of it, you have to wait for marriage, obviously.
That's true.
But it is a case of you need that, but also there has to be that mental stimulation, I think. Yeah. You need someone, because, okay, so I'll give you an example. So I did talk to a few people prior to meeting my now husband.
How many husbands are you planning to have? My now husband.
And, I found having that mental sort of stimulation of, okay, if I throw it out there, they need to be able to hit it back or, challenge me. And I think that's really important. And I think that's part of the spark. In fact, I think that's a bigger part of the spark than the physical attraction, in my opinion. Because I think you can come round to being like, well, even if the person isn't the most
ugly.
Yeah, basically.
That's not a nice thing to say, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I get what you mean. Not quite the flavour that you were after.
Oh, that's very delicately put.
Thank you very much. I do try politically correct. But I think if there is a mental stimulation, then you can just sort of condition yourself to thinking that person is better looking. That's why I don't think the physical attraction, but I think that's the difference between men and women. I
Yeah.
do.
But I think that thing about the personality makes someone beautiful.
Yes. But I think that's a woman thing. I don't know. We've got to get a man on here to tell us, no, men think like this as well. You lot are just sexist, which is fair enough because we are two women. So, but anyway, going back to your previous question, I think I'm not the kind of person that thinks, oh, love at first sight. I don't believe that. I think lust at first sight, yes. But I think love is sort of built, it takes time. I think there has to be a mutual respect. There has to be a common goal. There has to be.
I think you know what done it for me was when I was having my child, and he supported me through obviously the whole delivery thing. And to be honest, I didn't want anyone else there, or I won't want anyone else for any of the things that I go through. For example, I'm embarrassing to say, but I'm scared of heights, and he's the only one that knows how to support me if I'm like climbing a mountain or something like. He'll laugh at me, yeah, but he knows I wouldn't trust anyone else to hold my hand. I remember when my brother held my hand, he dragged me. No, forget it. Bring the husband here.
Bring
He
him
knows how to
here.
do it. And bring him here. He
But
knows
then
how
I
to
think
do it.
after a certain amount of time, that is the person that you're close to. They're the ones that know you best. Regardless
That
of
is
how
true.
many years you've spent with your siblings or parents or whatever, you won't have that intimate relationship or those thoughts that pop into your head that might sound, well, that's not true, but just the little things like that. I don't know how to support you. I'd probably just push you as well.
So do you think that love is comfort then? Because you're just getting used to the person. I think we're questioning what love means then.
Well, I always thought when I was younger, and I think it's still something now, love is an emotion, and
Oh
emotions,
God, you really make it scientific. Yeah, kill it.
but emotions are controlled by chemical reactions in your brain, right?
Yeah.
So you change a certain chemical, serotonin, whatever the hormone or chemical is, then you have a different feeling. Now that is a bit more scientific. However, I am changing slightly. That was my thing before, um, but I don't
Yeah, you
know.
used to bore me to death with that thing.
But it's true, right? Happiness is.
Whatever. People don't want to hear the scientific. You want to hear love is in the air.
Well, do you know what? I'll tell you a funny story actually, and I've said this to a few people over the last few days. People that aren't emotionally intelligent, and I mean feel for others and that sort of thing. Scientifically, they've got a smaller brain. So I've been reading
Oh.
up on this. So if you ever have someone that isn't quite there in regards to regard for yourself, it's because their brain is smaller. That's what I've been reading. I'm just saying. But anyway, going back to your previous question, what is love? I think it is based on, I suppose it is comfort, um, knowing that the person's going to be there regardless of how hard life gets. And
Yeah.
we've all got things that are hard and we have to go through. But knowing that, well, when I turn around, that person is going to be there. I think that's what I'd regard as that your best friend, as it
Oh,
were.
that's a bit more romantic. Thought you were just going to kill it then.
No, I am a very romantic person.
But as Asians, we find it a big deal. For example, even for I like going back to this topic, but that's what we're all about: social media. If we see a picture of a South Asian couple, even holding hands, kissing, wow, or anything else beyond that, we'd stop and look and think, would either think, oh, that's cute, or would think, wow, okay.
Yeah, but see, this is something. If you look at Hollywood, it's always been there. There's always someone kissing on the front cover or whatever, and it's never. It's not a problem because that's what you expect. Now, Bollywood is now obviously bringing in scenes that are a bit more intimate, more sexual, kissing, and it's slowly becoming the norm, right? So, yeah, we talk about South Asian, but there is a big influence of Hollywood on Bollywood.
But do you know something? I was just thinking with Bollywood, like in the old days, you'd have the running across the hills or whatever, and you'd have the Junni in front or something like that, and it was left to the imagination what was going to happen next. Now nothing is left to the imagination. They will kiss, they will cuddle, whatever. They'll get naked, and it's kind of reflective of what's happening in society.
But is there anything wrong with that?
I might be a bit dissy, and this we'll discuss this in a bit. But I don't like watching Bollywood films anymore. One, because they don't really have that much of a storyline that they used to, and two, well, this is a bit backwards, but we've been brought up when in our household, if there was a kissing scene, our dad used to be like, we used to quickly
Oh
change the
god, that used
channel.
to be so funny though, right? We still do
And,
it.
and yeah, and I still do it. Even if I'm sitting by myself, I do not watch a film where there's a kissing scene. I just can't do it.
What a prune.
Call me a prune if you want to, but I cannot do it. I mean, remember I was watching, me, my husband, my brother-in-law, we were watching Game of Thrones, and most of that is a lot of nudity. So I go to my
That must have been
brother-in-law.
an interesting watch then, right? Just
Well, I go to my brother-in-law. Can you watch it and then kind of censor it for me? So like forward the bits, and he was like, "Forget it. You're just forwarding the whole thing." And we tried to do it once, and it was like, and he was like, "No, forget it." And I was like, "I just can't watch it." Because I have grown up, whereas funny, where you've grown up in the same household, but it isn't a problem for you.
see, I don't want the kids to see it. So
Yeah.
I'm the same in that, but I don't have a problem with people kissing. I don't think we know what happens now.
No,
We
but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just that I don't want to see it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm a bit more racier than you are.
I'll tell our parents that.
No, we don't tell them. When we go home, we still change the channel.
I still do it here at home.
But yeah, no, I get what you mean, and I think with Bollywood it's slightly different because it was a family event. If we were going to watch a film, it would be the family sitting there. I still would not watch. I wouldn't watch the modern day films with my family. They're not
Mm.
appropriate. A lot of them, which is sad in a way, but it's reflective of what society is turning into. I mean, that scene where you said, it would start raining and they'd be dancing. To be fair, that's the sort of thing. If you watch old school
Yeah, like
Western films.
I mean, the song that comes into my mind is "Junari de piche kya hoye, Junari ke niche," and these days you'd be like, yeah, you wouldn't sing that about the Junari because that's kind of left to the imagination. You'd be like, yeah, my breasts are under my Junari kind of thing.
What did you say? Your breasts are what?
How dare you make me repeat that?
What
But
did you say? I
basically,
missed that.
breasts. You'd use that. You wouldn't care about the Junari
Oh, do
because,
you know what I thought you said? I thought breasts are under my stomach.
well, as we get older, things change.
Sorry, no,
The
I
body
just
changes.
I just thought about what you said. So, okay, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, so even the song, everything has changed and evolved because we've evolved. I mean, like, for example, when we were younger, and actually we still do it now, we wouldn't want our parents to sit too close to each other on the sofa. It sounds so backwards.
And it's true. I'd sit in the middle of them if they'd sit on the same sofa because you need to break this intimacy up. They can't sit next to each other, right?
And yeah, they didn't have an issue with sitting next to each other, but we didn't like it. And we kind of, it's not so big a deal now, to be honest. But now we do it for a laugh where we'll sit in between them. And they know that we'll do it for a laugh.
I don't know. I think we're past it. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's a problem, but I do agree there it is in our household we were very censored. I mean, people would take the mick out of us. Like our cousin brother would come around and know that this was a censored household, and we'd have a laugh about it. But yeah, I think. But then, how do you think that reflects in your relationship now? Because
Now, yeah, that's funny because in my relationship, we don't mind doing the hugging and we don't full on snog or whatever, or that sounds a bit childish, that word. But like we would like kiss or whatever in front of the kids before, not so much now. But with the hugging thing, it's not a big
you
deal.
would
Which
you would
we
kiss
well we used to, I suppose, when the kids were younger. Not now.
cheek, lips.
Yeah, cheek.
Yeah, see, this is the yeah, fair enough. Because I was going to have a go at you there. Oh my god, That is censorship. That is.
But the funny thing is, we're saying that, oh, we were censored so much, but then I didn't think it's not a big deal for us to cuddle or sit on top of each, whatever,
But
in
how
front
do
of
the
the kids.
How do the kids react to it?
It's perfect. It's normal for them. There's not a flinch because it's normal.
See, and this is again where we are very different. Whereas I'm a bit more conservative, my husband's a bit more conservative. We don't tend to. I mean, we barely talk to each other in front of the kids.
It's really funny because we're really contradicting in the way that we act and what we're saying.
Yeah.
In a way, because I wouldn't mind going out in public and actually holding hands in public. It's not a big issue for me.
So me and we tried date night. I mean, it didn't last very long. I mean, it was only one date, to be fair. We never got around to the second one, which I think we should do. But after kids, it's just become about the kids, which I know is a very common thing. Talking to a lot of my friends, they go through the same thing. So anyway, so we did actually go out this one time, and we both found it so awkward holding each other's hands to the point where literally, I mean, he knows me better than anyone. He's seen a lot more than anyone else, right? But I could feel I was anxious and he was anxious. I was like, this is so weird because we're just not used to it. So I made him do it because, we have to break through this barrier of anxiety.
It's like a counselling session, isn't it?
Right? But it was really strange.
But that might just be because your relationship's like that. For example, when me and my husband speak to each other, we only speak to each other in English. If we speak to each other in Punjabi,
Someone's
we start
angry.
laughing.
Oh, okay.
No, we start laughing because we're just not, that's not how the relationship is. We've just always spoken English to each other.
Do you think in that case there's judgment? Because anyone listening to this podcast would then think, oh my God, Taj is definitely in the romantic relationship with Bal. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to be hearing about her divorce in a few weeks.
But funnily enough, saying that, me and my husband, we don't mind arguing in front of people.
Yes,
Whereas
trust me.
I remember that was like when you got married and the first time we came round your house, we had a pretty blown up argument. And
I'm like, oh my God, can you please not embarrass me in front of my new husband? I don't want to show him what a freak you are.
Like, this is the stage of our marriage. You go through certain stages. You go through the honeymoon stage, and you go through the next stage, and then you go through the argument stage.
And we're there now.
Exactly. And I feel like we should write a book about it.
It's true though. Everyone does go through stages. I do agree with that.
But for us, yeah, we'll openly argue, and it's not a big deal. But we won't. We'll try not to make the other people feel awkward, but it's our relationship.
I'm sorry.
All right,
Are you kidding me? I was sat there the first time he argued after I got married thinking, oh my God, my family is so embarrassing.
Although saying that, we went round to a friend's house and the couple were really similar to the way we were, as in they were arguing in front of us. I found it really awkward and strange. And I come back and I said to my husband, I go, do you know we are like that? So the fact that we found it really awkward, other people must find it as well like that. But we haven't been able to test that. We haven't seen if our attitudes have changed because we've been in this whole COVID lockdown, whatever.
Yeah.
But once we're out there, we might try to see if we change. I don't think we will because that's just our relationship.
No, I think it's actually quite funny, to be fair. I like chipping in and make sure you have a good argument. You know, it's a bit of fun. Who cares if you go home and phone me and say we're getting divorced? Who cares? That's your problem, not mine. I'm here for a laugh. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, changing_suits, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
We're just diverting it a bit.
Yeah.
Now, even like the whole in the South Asian community, it is a bit of a strange thing to see couples holding hands. For example, you do look twice. Strangers in young, like people are doing it more, but you do still look, because it is still a bit of a that Asian couple's in your head, you'd say.
I agree with that actually. Yeah, thinking about it.
I mean, I remember there's this couple that both of us are friends with on social media.
Yes.
And whenever it's pretty sad but really cute. Whenever we see when we discuss this is how sad we are. We discuss how cute they look.
They're so cute. They're so cute.
On their social media, they don't mind doing their heads together, their noses, like the whole very close thing.
Yeah.
But that stops us in our tracks, and we actually look at the photos.
The
'Cause it's
social, don't you love social media, love?
yeah,
It really
basically.
keeps you warm at night. Well, no, not at night. That doesn't sound right. But yeah, no, they're a very cute couple. But the thing I love about them is they always dress similar, like not similar, color coordinated. And when I saw that, I showed Suk and I was like, look, we have never color coordinated in our lives. What the hell is going on?
Well, you just about iron your clothes, so color coordination would be a very big step up.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
But
mean, I used to do that at the beginning of the start of our marriage. We used to color coordinate, and now we're like, yeah, whatever, as long as we get a pair of clothes out of the
get changed out of your
closet.
joggers. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's going to be a struggle. Yeah. So I don't know, that might just because you've got more energy to do that kind of thing, and I'd like to
You've
see.
got nothing better, not better to do because that's putting it down. I mean, if I could do that, I would do that. I just don't have the energy to do it. I think, see, this is the thing in regards to that. I think I've always said this, you have a certain amount of energy, your kids will drain out about 95% of it. And if the last 5% is going to be on you dressing similar to your partner, I mean, there's not any energy left to make dinner, that's for sure.
But do you know those couples that dress the same? For me, that's like, oh, they're really in love. They must communicate and say, oh, should we wear this? Should we wear this? And we do, I wonder if that actually happens in the background, because what I used to do was like, you're wearing this. It's same as mine. But in your mind, when you see a couple like that, you're like, oh, they probably really communicated about this.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
Maybe it's in our make-believe world that we want it to be that romantic and,
Yeah, I
you know,
agree. I think you want people to be. The thing is, it does sort of give off happiness, and that's a good thing. You want someone to be
yeah,
happy. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, I wrote on that person's Facebook, "How beautiful!" I'm like, please stay like this, bro. Keep posting those videos. You're gonna make me cry and wish I was you.
I messaged that particular person in the couple and I said, wow, your photos are lovely.
They really are, though. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's stop reminiscing about someone else's
Love life.
marriage and love life and talk about ours.
Well, yeah, just talking about marriage. So in weddings, one of the biggest thing was for the couple to eat from the same tray back in the day. And this is like 30 odd years ago. Yeah, a bit around about that. And that was a big thing. And if you were going on the dance floor, you'd just about hold hands and the girl would be shy, like,
I'd never done this before, even though I totally slept with him just before the wedding.
and the man jumping, like, hey, man.
Happiness.
Yeah. And that was in that time, and things have changed so much since then. Then you started getting the montage or the photos or showing.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my older sister, we used to sit there and we're like, oh my God. We were like, auntie,
Yeah,
oh
I was
my
going to say,
God,
what is that? Why did
they
you
must
go?
have actually met before they got married, because look at their clothes there and they're different to those there. So obviously that we were in a community where it was like couples weren't meant to go out. We were young, we were sitting at a wedding. What else were we going to do? Read a book?
And I know people that have done that. So the thing is, I mean, I never really went to that many weddings. I'm not a fan of going to most people's weddings anyway.
That's how happy you were.
Yeah, I'm that kind of person. But I really don't care if the person met even that many years ago. They can do whatever they want. It does not
But
affect me.
now obviously that's changed. I think that's completely changed. But look, let's go back to the wedding thing. So now you'd have the couple on the dance floor, I don't know, hugging and really
But
intimate.
do you know what? I find that awkward only because we've got our parents' generation still there. Um, and I find it awkward because obviously the older generation, I know from our family, people are very conservative. I know that doesn't work for every family, but it's just really awkward. Like you're all standing there whilst they're doing whatever they're doing. I mean, get a room for God's sakes. I don't need to see that in front of my parents, that's for sure. But I think the next generation, where perhaps
They'd get naked on the dance floor.
well, I hope not. But as the older generation
Dies out. That's out of order.
I did not mean that, but you get what I'm saying. As it decreases and you get more younger generation,
decreases.
um,
Expires.
it expire hoidindia,
As they say in India, yeah.
and it will become less awkward. So I do think it's less. I think at this moment I'm still a bit of a prune where I'm like, this is so awkward having to watch this with people of the older generation. It's the same thing as the TV thing. I can't do that.
I think that's more to do with desi parents and generation. If they would find it a bit awkward, because I remember when I was at a wedding and I was there with one of my aunts, a boy, and she was shocked to see that there was a woman drinking. And I was like, "Boy, man, this is normal. Get
Yeah.
over it, love." But the sheer shock, because obviously she hadn't seen or been exposed to anything like that.
But see, this is why, whatever the subject is, it is about raising awareness. There's nothing wrong with people, um, dancing together and whatever. It is what it is. It's our generation, right? So that's fine. But it's about having exposure to this so that it does become the norm. That's with anything. It's like, your kids see you and your husband, hugging and stuff. Whereas if I went and hugged my husband, like that, literally, it's so funny. There's been times where if the kids walk in, we literally shove the other person, so we're not near each other. But and they'd probably find it awkward. But the more you do it, it just becomes a norm, right?
Yeah, because I don't think there's nothing wrong with having that, relationship like that. But like you said, it's how the couple, it's their relationship and it's how they want to bring up their kids. So I wouldn't judge anyone if they done it differently. I don't judge you for being prunes. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Needed to get that in there.
And do not hug your husband in front of my kids. I mean, it's too much for their poor little eyes.
Well, just talking about like the South Asian community, and I remember when we were younger, me and my cousin sister, we were early 20s, and one of our cousin sisters, she was going to get married, so we went to get her a very lovely book from a lovely bookshop,
A
and it
journal
was,
to journal her life story.
yes, it was called the Kama Sutra,
Yes, yes.
and we went
That
in
is
the
her
shop.
journal, is it?
We went into that shop and we were like, oh my God, very embarrassed. And basically, we picked the book up and we took it to the front of the shop, gave it, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. And gave it to the person behind the counter who probably didn't wink an eyelid at it, but we were like,
And like, oh
so
my god,
embarrassed.
I don't even know how I got into this shop. I don't know what is going on. We're having,
Exactly.
yeah.
And then we quickly shoved it into the bag and had the most biggest laugh. And then when we all got together as cousins, we all had a laugh about it, because when the bride to be opened it up, it was so like ha ha ha.
But the thing
And
is, the nice thing about that is, yes, it sounds like, oh my god, we weren't exposed to the world. You don't know what's going on, because that is not what the experience of a lot of people is. People are very much the opposite, where they're happy to talk about their sex lives and being intimate. Whereas we obviously are from a very traditional background where it
but
was.
I mean, but as cousins, we did used to talk about it, as
Yeah.
in have the jokes and stuff like that. So we
But
weren't.
I was going to say, but it's a nice memory. Yes, we were innocent at that point where it was a whole new world to us, because both of you were quite young at that point.
Yeah.
But it's a nice memory, even talking about it now. It's like it's like the turning of, the things we were becoming adults, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, and that was a nice present as well, because it went from one bride to the next bride, and everyone wrote a little comment in it. But I don't actually know where it is at the moment.
I would think it is with the youngest of all the sisters, and so I
The
guess that would
cousins.
be me, wouldn't it? Really,
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just not. I'm just not sure where it is at the moment, but we will look for it,
is it being
because,
used as a doorstop? That's the question.
well, I haven't seen any doorstop like that, because I would not be like. Well, I've just told you we don't expose our kids to anything like that, so I'm pretty sure that would be a firm no.
But I mean, even in cartoons, they have the kissing. Oh, not so much kissing, cuddling, do they?
Yeah, they do,
Oh,
and this is, yeah, it's definitely, the world has changed, and it's fine. I think kids question a lot more, right? I mean, you should know, what was the
yeah. I mean,
story
like
for you?
a couple of days ago, my daughter was coming home, and we were just walking along as you do, and she said, "Oh, Mum, I understand what the sperm is, and I understand what the egg is, but I don't get how they get together." And I was like, "Oh God, I'm just not ready for this." And I was like, "I really do not know, but I know your dad knows really well. So when we go
He
home,
knows really well. What does that mean?
he knows a lot about it." So I go, "When we go home, why don't you go and ask him?" The funny thing is, she never asked him, and I even
Do you think she
asked.
knows then?
She does, of course she does,
Oh my
because I
god.
went. because I said to her, and I go to her, why don't you go and ask your dad? And she started smiling.
She knows.
She must do.
Well, I'll tell you
Or maybe,
something.
or
I
maybe
phoned
she
you.
just knows it embarrassing. That's all.
I phoned you this morning, and she picked up, and her dad was behind it, and we were having a conversation in regards to. There was an article that I saw on my usual very important news feed called Facebook,
Yeah.
and it was basically apparently men can have in their lifetime 200 children, whereas
Wow.
women can have a maximum. I think it was 30 or something like that. And
Bloody
so
hell.
we were having a conversation. And your husband was like, just look at who is listening into this conversation. I was like, yeah, this isn't a conversation to be having in front of her.
But yeah, she knows what it's about, or she knows that it's something that we're embarrassed about. So maybe that's why she's embarrassed about it.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I mean, she asked you the question. There's
I will.
people that would have just answered what the answer is, you know.
I will tell her. I don't think I should hide it away. It was just I just wasn't ready at that point, and I think I'll answer it in a scientific way um,
Fair
to make it boring.
enough, because then no one wants to hear about it. Fair enough. But it
I'm
is.
not going to glorify it, am I?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
it's the intimacy that you feel. No.
Okay, so going back to, let's call it, it's Valentine's Day on Monday, right? What will you be doing to show your husband the love? If that is, if it's not too censored, I don't think we want to hear too many details.
Well, me and my husband don't celebrate many occasions on the occasion
Yes,
because we're what you call conjuice
yes.
and yes, cheapskates. So we've never actually celebrated Valentine's Day on the actual day because the prices are hiked up. So we celebrate about a week afterwards, if that. I mean, I think the only Valentine's present that he gave me was a rose, and that was because we had some really big fight or something. But we've never,
Do you know
no,
what you need to do?
mm.
Get into a fight before Monday. Oh, you should expect your second rose, I'd say.
Yeah.
See,
But to be honest,
I
go
had
on.
this conversation about the rose actually because I was trying to order some roses for something, um, and they were really expensive coming up to Valentine's Day. And my husband said they are not that price in Tesco's. I was like, that's because the quality isn't quite the same either. Maybe you should stop being a cheapskate and realize how much a real rose costs from a florist. Because my husband is quite good like that. So although I laugh about all of this, I do tend to get a rose from him every Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's nice. Very
It is,
romantic.
yes, yes. So he is quite good like that. I can't say that he's not romantic, and he does sometimes, not very often, but there are quite nice surprises that I've had on whether it's a birthday, Valentine's Day. Um, so yeah, he's quite good like that. I'm not that romantic, but he's very good.
I mean,
I'll give it to him.
that is nice. I mean, we just generally don't give each other presents, not because we're cheapskates,
But that's
but
added to it, yes, of course.
yeah, but that's added to it. But because we'd rather do something and have an experience rather than have the whole present thing, to be honest. I mean, I remember my first anniversary. We didn't give presents to each other, but I remember exactly where we went and what we did because it's the memory. Whereas with present, you kind of shove it away.
See, I don't. In regards to anniversaries, we tend to do, like the first year is what paper, and then the cotton and all that sort of stuff. We do actually stick to that. So we do get each other gifts. It doesn't matter how expensive or cheap it is, um, but we do that, and it's quite nice because I don't know if you've noticed, if you come to our house, some of those gifts are actually around the house.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Why are you laughing at that? What does that mean?
I was going to say shoved in a cupboard. No, they are. You're right. I
Like,
mean, there's a picture that he drew of both of you, isn't there?
yeah, and that was the
And that
paper.
was nice.
That was the first anniversary, our paper anniversary. So we've got that hung up, and
Yeah,
he made a little heart for me out of a copper pipe.
yeah. I think that's very
So
cute.
it's cute. I think it's nice to have these little things, and they are around, and it does remind you that you do like the person on somewhat on the every so often. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I see what you mean about experiences, but since I don't tend to remember very much, obviously looking through Apple photos is always very helpful.
Yeah.
Those Apple guys, they're so smart. Um, so it's nice having these little reminders for as the early dementia comes into play for me.
Yeah. Yeah, each to their own, I would say.
Okay, so let's finish this podcast here. I think what I do really want to put out there is it is Valentine's Day. Whether you celebrate or you don't because you're a cheapskate, um, I think it's really important that we do use this time to remember and reflect on how lucky we are, not only to have our partners, but also to have friends and family that is there for us when we need them, because I think that's really important. So don't just celebrate the ones that you love on Valentine's Day, do it every day of your life. And on that point, my name's Bal.
And my name's Taj.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, changing_suits, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.